Warm welcome to all of you. Dr. Linda Meyer is unfortunately ill, and her presentation will be done by Patrick Fish, who will tell us more about AI and the future of academic enterprise. So please note that we have 15 minutes for your presentation and then 5 minutes for the questions and answers. Patrick, could you please turn on your camera while you introduce yourself to the audience? Would you like to take a picture before we begin? Over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm struggling to figure out how to share an application.
Okay, so if you go to the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a purplish button with two little arrows.
I've opened that.
Okay,
I've done
if you've
all of
opened that, then you go to the second control. It says share content. It's a little rectangle with an arrow on it.
It says, okay, share application screen, and then I share Microsoft.
Then you go to share application screen. So then you will see that you have a choice what to share. I usually choose entire screen. When you click on entire screen, you will see in your blue, in the blue screen that appears, you have to click then on the screen that you see for the blue button to be activated at the bottom that says share. Then you can just share. You can click on that button and then that will share your screen. And then you can choose the tab that you want to share.
Yeah, still not working, sorry.
Okay, so can we maybe, all right, so can you tell me where are you now at the moment? Palisa, do we have this presentation that we can share it for
We do on PDF, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have access to it now. I'll share it.
Okay, thank you so much, Palisa.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's no problem. But you can start by introducing yourself.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. As you probably have noticed that I'm not Linda Meyer. She sadly fell ill, and she's asked me to step in. And I don't want to take up too much time, but if I can just give you a quick kind of overview. I've been involved in higher education as an employee partly and as a consultant for the past 23 years. So I've worked primarily with vice chancellors and universities, writing scripts, policy papers, you name it. I started off in SAVCA years ago and have became head of advocacy in HISA. I've worked with USAF a little bit, and presently I'm doing quite a lot of work with Helm. Now, as some of you might know, that Linda Meyer was the COO of USAF. And when she moved, she became the CEO of Rosebank College. And that means that her and I have kind of collaborated in quite a few different projects, which have been quite exciting. So while I've always found public higher education an incredibly inflexible and often institutionally complex body, I have been blown away entirely by the nimbleness and the preparedness for change and the ability to greet the future that is symbolized by most of the private universities. I'm not talking about EduCore here. I'm talking about reputable, quality-controlled private education institutions. And so her and I started working on putting together a very basic, sorry, I've got a terrible frog in my throat, a very basic survey that looked at, accepted the fact that Gen AI was and is already the norm in higher education. and then looked at Rosebank College as a large private higher education institution, which has got 28,000 students. That ranges from diploma all the way up to postgrad. And I needed to understand how best to ethically ensure that all staff can use AI optimally. So what we did is we put out a survey and had 221 online and face-to-face lecturers, but mostly both do, both of them. And we asked them 3 basic questions. So we weren't trying to kind of confuse them. There is a little bit of duplicity built into those 3 very simple questions, but I'll get around to that later. So the first question was, are you currently using Gen AI? The second question was, if you are, how are you using it? And then the third question was, what is the future impact of Gen AI on higher education? Now, if you think this through, I think both of us, Linda and myself, kind of were working on the assumption that there'd be an overwhelming use of AI within the privates because they are so focused on trying to be cutting edge and trying to be familiar. And so you can imagine that we were a little surprised when we got the responses back because 54% absolutely categorically refused to use it. Right now, ironically, if you have a look at there's a hyperlink there. If you look at the conversation that came out yesterday, they're saying 71% of Australian academics are using the technology. So it went against our expectations entirely. We had assumed that the lecturers would be early adopters, and yet it was the other way around. Okay, so what we had to try and do is to figure out why the resistance was coming by having a look at their responses, the negative responses, to the question of the future of AI. So this is not so weird if you, even though Australia seems to be a kind of outlier, Grammarly today ran a survey earlier this year, had 4,000 participants, both staff and students. 68% of the instructors said that Gen AI was having a negative impact on academic integrity. And 47% of students, as is the way of students, said it's easy to cheat with Gen AI. So what we needed to do is to dig deeper into each of those responses. Okay, and then if we have a look at the people that were anti, the 54%, there were 2 main headings. One was the resistance is based on the notion of laziness, which I found quite fascinating. They said that AI will just lead to this over-reliance. It'll stunt their students' critical skills. AI provides answers, but does not allow students to research and find information. And that's a question that I'm going to actually pick up a bit later, because that for me is the nub of the future of AI. And then, this weird thing, AI promotes laziness. Students won't learn how to research. It'll destroy human intelligence and make people lazy, and I left it out, but it should have been lazy and stupid. The second one is far more understandable, is that there really are ethical and integrity issues with AI. If you have a look, sorry, actually, let me just go back. AI has to be used in an ethical manner. The popularity of AI shows it's here to stay, and the importance of referencing should be key in academic writing. And then the third is that there's a lot of integrity concerns. So that was far more understandable. But what I wanted to do was to try and see if we couldn't go a bit deeper and to kind of find a more fundamental objection that was perhaps kind of swaying the picture a little bit. And so these were the ones that I kind of went through these responses, and some of them were very lengthy. And one of them was, lecturers don't feel comfortable using Gen AI because they don't understand it. This is too quick. And I think your average lecturer age at Rosebank College is kind of early 40s. Too quick for them. And this, I think, is a universal truth, is that AI can make the lecturer look
Am I the only person that lost our? It seems as he's been thrown off. Okay, so we'll just wait a minute for him to return. It's really interesting the reasons why I say that, why they are not trying to implement it. Oh, thank you so much, Patrick. You back?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't know I'd lost you. I just found the whole world got black. So essentially, some of the lecturers are saying, look, it might be fine in this instance or in that instance, but my subject matter, my discipline is too complex for AI. And then the other two, which is the kind of real human ones, is that higher education and teaching should be around human interaction. And it shouldn't be, interluded by AI. And also then finally, the perception that lecturers using AI for generating slides and assessments and lesson plans could inevitably, and I mean, the question wasn't really could, but it will reduce your own creative input. Now, I think I must make it very clear as we start this, is that I fall very firmly on the side of using AI to its maximum. I do believe it is the future of higher education. And I am wholeheartedly in support. And I mean, if you look at what I'll try and explain a bit later, the polarization vortex, is these 496,000 articles on AI in 2021. So it's one of the most rapidly exploding areas of investigation. And it always comes down to these two positions. De facto, are you against it or are you for it? And I try to understand that this kind of vortex. And I said that the majority of academic papers inevitably get caught between these embracing Gen AI, those embracing Gen AI, often using it in their research, and those vehemently opposed to it. And this is especially true in academia. And somehow we've got to find a more subtle way of understanding the tension in order to maximize the good that AI could possibly bring to the table. So those in favor of embracing AI, and I wish I could show you the actual spreadsheet, because that is going to pages. So the lecturers that are embracing AI say, but it's perfect for generating ideas for presentations, organizing conflicts. I'd use it for quizzes, assessments, and formulate questions. Personalized learning, and that's again something I'll return to, and create interactive environments. And these are just a couple of the quotes from these academics. It says, I use AI to support students by delivering real-time information and personalizing learning experiences. I upload like my slides and it gives me ideas on how the session can be interactive. And I use it to generate lecture materials and interactive tools that engage students. And it just continues. I mean, the outpouring was incredible. So, to retrieve context and enhance subject matter understanding, to automate administrative tasks such as grading, sending reminders, and creating rubrics. And I do think, we'll touch on it in the future, but I do think that is the fundamental, that it is going to reduce the amount of work on the academic in terms of administration. That's a big hope. And it's used to generate, ideas, examples, brainstorm solutions. I use it for problem solving. So if we look, just let me take it one further. When we had a look at the question of the future of AI, I think it's quite important to note that all 223 responded. And they kind of begrudgingly, in the case of the negatives, acknowledged AI's role in saving time and simplifying tasks like organizing information, preparing lectures, etc. They also acknowledged there was a way of making learning more interactive and engaging, so that you can incorporate tools like virtual reality and gamified learning. And this is what I was talking about in the last slide, automating tasks like marking, grading, and attendance, reducing the administrative burden on lecturers, and a way of simplifying complex content and making it more accessible to students. And this is something I love, especially those with language barriers or difficulties understanding the textbook. And also it can foster collaboration between students, lecturers, and even global educational platforms. So I'm in a rush here, so I'm going to be quick. I think the crucial thing here is that for all of them, it was on student-centeredness. That was the important thing. It said, AI can make learning fun. AI allows lecturers a way to find the right approach to teach each student, and to provide an early warning system and to support students who are struggling. It has huge potential in those areas, and it allows students to learn at their own pace and pursue their own interests, either through synchronous or asynchronous or recorded, or they can kind of go down their own rabbit holes, which is perhaps a radical way of reimagining higher education. I think something that hasn't really been gone into the group, I think the next 1 or 2 sessions after me will go into it, is it allows you to work in African languages and translate in and out of English, or go from English to Sesotho or whatever. But it does place students at the center of higher education process. Okay, and this is kind of where I'm ending. What I've recommended, and Linda and I discussed this in depth, is to conduct a cost-benefit study to determine the cost of providing all AI, all academic staff with ChatGPT-4. Now, this is becoming increasingly a protocol. So University of New Mexico does it, but more and more universities are in actual fact spending the money to make sure that they are all equipped. But I don't think we can just leave it there. I think it's going to require intensive online training for staff on AI, especially the ethical and responsible aspects of teaching, assessing, and research. And I'm hoping that would reduce the resistance that I experienced. And for me, the most important part is just training I think the worst thing AI can do is give you answers. I really find it banal to the point of wanting to scream. I think AI's ability is the creativity it manages to draw out of the academic in the questions it's asked, as it is forced increasingly into complicated and interesting ways of viewing topics. And I think, we should investigate ways that AI can be introduced to the administrative processes to increase efficiency and allow for real-time data, so that we've got, not only real-time data, but we've got dashboards and we can see what's going on, and analyze them and respond to them in a way that private higher education does so well. I think I'm going to leave it there and leave time for any questions.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for a really insightful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions from the floor? I see that we had a lot of interesting comments in the chat. Tasha said that we also need to think about AI in terms of definitions, because lecturers often define AIs only as LMSs like ChatGPT and not understanding all the forms of generative AIs. So I think that we really learned a lot from you. Thank you so much. And I think that we can continue this discussion. We will look for you in our social areas to be able to chat a little bit more. Thank you so much.
Great.